Boston as midnight approaches on New Year's Eve, when much of the country will be glued to the broadcasts from Times Square. Anthony Amore will be waiting for his phone to ring. He is no lovelorn teen, Mr. Amore, Director of Security at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, is a detective of sorts on the trail of the world's largest unsolved art heist, in which thieves purloined 13 items, valued at $500 million, from the museum in 1990. They stole works by Rembrandt, Vermeer, Degas, and others. The museum is offering a head-spinning reward of $10 million for information leading to their recovery, an amount it says is the largest private reward ever offered for stolen property. The offer expires on January 1, when it reverts to $5 million. It's conceivable that some criminal organization or people might be wishy-washy about the $5 million, Mr. Amore said the other day as he sat in his cramped office at the museum, surrounded by copies of the stolen works. But it's not conceivable that they are feeling the same way about the $10 million. The magnitude of the Gardner heist, and the fact that it remains unsolved, is an open wound for Bostonians, many of whom have a soft spot for the museum and remain enthralled by the enduring mystery behind the theft. This is our equivalent of the Lindbergh baby kidnapping, but we've never had a satisfactory conclusion to it or any clue about what happened, said Thomas Whalen, a social scientist at Boston University. And, he said, the fact that no informant has stepped forward in all these years speaks to a quintessential Boston characteristic: the closed culture and tribal nature of its people, especially small-time hoodlums, he said, who would likely confess to a murder before informing on someone. Mrs. Gardner, an art patron and philanthropist who died in 1924, stipulated in her will that the vast art collection in her home here, modeled on a 15th-century Venetian palace, remain on permanent display exactly as she left it. To comply, 6 empty gilded frames are on view just as they were the night their contents, 5 paintings and a Rembrandt etching, were cut out of them. The empty frames serve not only as reminders of the works that are gone, they look like open arms, waiting to welcome them back. The museum doubled the long-standing reward to $10 million in May to underscore its determination to recover the art and set a limited-time-only offer as an added incentive. Since then, dozens of tipsters have called Mr. Amore, most with unsubstantiated theories. As if on cue during the interview, Mr. Amore's phone rang. It was a man who calls so often with outlandish claims that Mr. Amore has affixed a post-it note to his phone reminding him not to answer calls from that number. But a few callers have been credible and have helped fill in some blanks, he said, declining to be specific. Although he is no closer to locating the missing works, he said, he feels closer to understanding where they have been. I have a better picture of what happened, where they moved, perhaps, he said, but not a better sense of where they are right now. No one has ever been charged in connection with the brazen theft, carried out just after midnight on March 18, 1990.